Whenever we go through a breakup, we avoid the heartache like the plague, right? He doesn't want to get hurt. She doesn't want to get hurt. No one wants to get hurt in a breakup, right? And yet, intrinsically, on some level, we know when it's time to exit the relationship, when the relationship is over, right? We're not responsible for somebody that doesn't want to change, right? You realize on some level that you're not rehab for another person, right? Let me say that again. You're not rehab for another person. And typically, the knee jerk reaction that most people get whenever there's a breakup is to outsource advice or look for guidance from friends or family, right? It's human nature to reach out for counsel whenever we're struggling, right? Now, getting advice from other people can sometimes have unintended consequences. Okay? It doesn't always solve the situation, sometimes it complicates it, right? And this is because your friends or family, they're not always going to give you the cold facts, right? They're not going to kick you while you're down, right? Their goal is not to increase the pain, right? When you're vulnerable, when you're struggling, when you're going through a hard time, they're not going to sabotage you. They're there to support you, right? They don't want to create any further pressure points that can make the situation worse, right? This is why 9 times out of 10, your friends or family, whenever they're giving you advice, they're not going to give you the reality, right? They're not going to give you the cold facts because it could be a wounding experience. Sometimes you're the one that messes up, but nobody has the guts to tell you that, right? And it really is a hindrance because if nobody tells you the truth, you're not able to make good decisions, right? In order to be successful, you need to make good choices, right? You have to make good choices, right? Have you ever met someone who's have you ever met someone who's successful but makes all the wrong choices? Right? Of course not, right? People who make all the wrong choices are not successful, right? You have to make good choices in order to be successful, right? So if your friends or family are giving you wrong advice, they could unconsciously be sabotaging your ability to move forward, right? It is now embedded in your psychology. When people give you bad advice, it stays there, right? But you tend to gravitate towards it because it's coming from your friends or family, right? These are the people that are supposed to care for you. These are the people that have your best interest in mind. But they're not always going to give you the right advice. Sometimes they're going to give you the wrong advice. And they don't always do this um, consciously, right? Sometimes they're going to do this unconsciously, right? Why would a friend or family member give you the wrong advice on purpose, right? They don't always do it on purpose. Sometimes it's unconsciously, right? And they do so because your friends and family, the people who care about you, they want to preserve the relationship, right? They understand that relationships are a form of currency. Relationships are a form of currency, right? They want to preserve the relationship with you. They're not going to sabotage you or kick you while you're down. There's an element of self-interest, right? So let's say, what do I mean relationships are a form of currency? Let's say you need, I don't know, let's say you need a plumber or a mechanic, right? You need your car fixed, for example, right? If you take it to a mechanic, that mechanic might tell you, well, it's going to take, 3 to 4 days to fix whatever issue your car has, right? However, if you know the mechanic personally, if the mechanic is your friend, you know this person, right? The mechanic can potentially fix your car the same day or at a shorter time span than they would otherwise if you did know them, right? Relationships are a form of currency. So when your friends and family don't give you the cold facts, when they give you the wrong advice unconsciously or subconsciously, they're doing so because they want to preserve the relationship. They want to preserve the currency the relationship that you have between each other, right? People know this. People know that, like for example, people know that every relationship has ups and downs, right? Like guys do this all the time. I know some women too, but for example, guys like to campaign in their social circle, right? So if there's a guy, he has a girlfriend, for example, when that guy meets his girlfriend's friends, when he meets her friends, they start campaigning immediately. They start campaigning for votes because they know that down the line they're gonna need those votes in their favor, right? Every relationship has ups and it has downs, right? Most people know when I have a fight with my girlfriend or my boyfriend, right? With my lover, when I have a fight with them, they're gonna go get advice. They're gonna go get counsel from their friends. And I need those friends on my side because they're linked to your relationship whether you know it or not, right? So if the person that your friend is dating is not someone that they like, right, within that circle, that person might as well be a piñata, right? They're going to be taking shots at that person all the time, right? So prime example, let's say there's a guy, he has an argument with his girlfriend. His girlfriend is going to go talk to her friends. And if they like the boyfriend, they're going to say, "You know what? Give him another chance. He's not a bad guy." Right? Just give him another chance, blah blah blah. If they don't like the guy, he's a piñata. Right? They're going to take shots at him. And it's not just women who do this, it's also guys, right? It goes both ways. Guys do this too, right? A guy has trouble with his relationship. He has trouble with his girlfriend. He talks to his buddies. He wants advice. He wants counsel. The guys are gonna base their advice based on whether or not they like his girlfriend in the first place, right? If they like her, they're gonna say, "Hey, she's a good girl. Just maybe they'll tell him, hey, you need to give her another chance, right?" But if they don't like her, she's the piñata, right? They're gonna take shots at her, right? So people do this, right? But the reality of it is that even though your friends are gonna be giving you relationship advice, they don't know the half of it. Chances are they don't know the half of the things that go on in your relationship. They're not connected to the reality of your relationship with your lover, right? They're gonna contaminate the situation with their own personal biases and their own personal points of view, right? That might not be aligned with your points of view, right? The first thing that they're gonna do is they're gonna say, "Well, whose fault is it?" Immediately, they're gonna want to cast blame, right? There's a problem in a relationship. The boyfriend goes to talk to his buddies. The girlfriend goes to talk to her girlfriends, to her friends. They want to know, well, who's at fault? That's the first thing the knee-jerk reaction is, whose fault is it? Is it his fault or is it her fault? And it's not always a clear cut. The person that you're talking to might not be giving you the full story, right? There's a lot of layers to it. It gets kind of messy. So now there's a scavenger hunt on trying to find who's at blame, right? They're trying to find who's at blame, and then your friends are going to bring in their own personal biases. There's something called like trauma bonding, right? Trauma bonding is when someone has experienced a traumatic experience or an unpleasant experience that resembles your own or similar to your own. So they have an impulse to bond over it. They want that common ground, right? For example, if you got cheated and then your friend also got cheated, all of a sudden you have trauma bonding. There's common ground. Oh, you got cheated? Well, I got cheated too. Now you start talking, right? And you start getting advice from people that might not be dealing with their situation the way you should be dealing with your situation. Everybody's different, right? So the common ground that people have through like trauma bonding is contaminated with the other person's personal experiences, personal biases, right? And they're giving you advice, right? This impacts your psychology, it impacts your choices, right? You have to be very strategic and very careful on who you take advice from, right? Friends and family, they mean well, but they're not always going to give you the cold facts, or they're going to bring in their own prejudices based on their own experiences, right? So, as a friend, it's very hard to be objective sometimes, right? It's very hard to be objective, and you're both in the arena, right? You're both in the arena, and it's very difficult to know when you're mistaken because you're too close to the action, right? You're too close to the action, and you can't really understand or see what's going on unless you're in the sidelines, right? So some people have, like, there's an old saying that says, a fish doesn't know how it got caught. A fish doesn't know how it got caught, right? Meaning, if the fish knew how it got caught, then they wouldn't have gotten caught in the first place, right? They don't see it, right? So it's like there's a parallel to this with relationships where if you like someone and you don't know why, you don't know how you got caught, right? Like, oh, I like this person, I don't even know why, right? Or sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes you have a failed relationship and people don't know why it failed. They don't have the slightest idea why a relationship failed. No clue. And it's simply because, again, a fish doesn't know how it got caught. Sometimes you're too close to you, you can't see it, right? People don't always have the self-awareness or the mental bandwidth to understand their own situation. And then these are the people that you're going to take advice from because you're looking for guidance, right? You need to be connected to your own truth, okay? Make your own decisions, right? If you are going to take advice from people, take it from teachers. What do I mean, teachers? Teachers are people that they can tell you not what to do, but they're not going to tell you what to do. They're going to tell you how to do it. And then you choose whether you want to do it or not. Okay? Take advice from teachers. A teacher doesn't dictate your decision for you. They just educate you. Those are the people that you need to be taking advice from. At the end of the day, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. And that's life.